All right. Fire 'em up. We go live in 5.
Proceed with the countdown. 10,
See if the party reached up.
8, 7, 6, 5,
What?
4,
Make like a tree.
3,
Get out.
2, 1.
Son of a bitch!
And here we go.
Welcome back, everybody, to Real Rants. It's been a very long fucking time since we've done an episode.
We're back in town.
I was about to say, why is that, guys?
Well, first of all, before we get anywhere, let's properly introduce ourselves. I am DJ Clement, and sitting across from me is Todd Bauer, a.k.a. Bod Tower, a.k.a. Ogre Dose, a.k.a. Todd Man 9000.
Why are you waving?
I know.
Yeah, who are you waving to?
I like to pretend everyone's watching me. Hi, everyone.
And
Big waves.
And sitting to my right is Sexual Chocolate himself. He is the Verninator. It is Bernard Adams.
Wow. Sexual chocolate.
Sexual Chocolate. Own it, man.
I'm sugar-free because, diabetic.
Diabetes. But yeah, we've been... we would have loved to have done this on time for once, but we were in a little place called Sin City. Kind of reaping the rewards from our film, I Think My Roommate is a Serial Killer, in which we finished in the top 3 and... in the top 3 of the Regal Short Film Showdown competition. And we met some awesome people out there in Vegas.
Yeah, they flew us out there, and we got to be part of a fancy dinner, and they gave us a nice award and everything.
We got to get raped out of our money.
Yeah.
But we met some really awesome people, and a special shout out to Richard and
Patrick.
His name just left my head for a second. If you are, in fact, listening to this, guys, hello. And welcome to this insanity that we call Real Rants.
Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
So does your money, too.
Most of your pride.
Yeah. Dignity, self-worth. Children.
Except for herpes.
That shit comes back.
That's a burning sensation. But yeah, it was really awesome out there. They treated us really well. Regal Cinemas did. We got to go to CinemaCon and see some very, very A-list celebrity people.
Oh yeah. If we went down a list, it would take us a little bit of time to list all the celebrities we
saw so many that I have a hard time remembering any of them.
Well, what movies did you guys see? I mean, like, as far as...
Well, we got little previews of the new Jurassic World coming out. We also saw previews for the new Predator, which looks like complete fucking garbage.
Sounds like that'll be a real rant.
Oh yeah, that'll be a future episode, and it might be one where we actually rant. Because so far, this has just been real praise
or rave.
Yeah, real rave.
Real conversations.
But no, we also saw we were treated to the trailer for the new Halloween movie coming out, which nobody has seen yet. And it's been going on a couple weeks now, and I think YouTube and the horror community are still, like, spazzing over not seeing it. And All I could say is for that trailer is that it was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. And then Jamie Lee Curtis came out and talked to us about it.
Yeah, Jamie Lee came out and promoted the movie. But I mean, we saw like Jamie Lee Curtis, we saw Chris Pratt. We got treated to a spot performance by motherfucking Cher.
Cher?
Yeah, I'm
Not
not even
Cher.
I'm not even a Cher fan, but you know what? You know, once in a lifetime opportunity. That was
It was
really
really
fucking
neat.
cool.
It came out of nowhere.
Did she turn back time?
No, Thanos did, and we'll get to that in a second.
That was a good pivot. That's a good segue.
Yeah, but I didn't lick my lips, so...
You're not nearly wearing enough fishnets.
Straddling enough gunship cannons.
Not enough sexual like innuendo metaphors.
Oh, shit, what did I say?
Sailors galore. Sailors everywhere.
So how about that Avengers movie?
Yeah. I'll just do the Thanos snap for it.
No, you can't do that. Then you just erased everybody.
Oh, that's true. And we'll have to do this all over again.
There's a few people I like to erase.
You could call Schwarzenegger on that. Wasn't he the eraser?
Oh, wow. Wow.
But anyway, getting into Avengers. Yeah, we're in spoiler territory, so...
Super spoiler territory.
If you have not seen this movie yet, number one, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, most people have been waiting like 10 years to see this thing.
Yeah, the three of us have been. And just so you know, real quick, if anybody, since we are in spoiler territory, just so you know, we have been spared by Thanos.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
If you go to, what was it?
It was, it's Did Thanos Kill .me.
Yes. Did Thanos kill .me? All 50 of you out there, you could go see if Thanos has officially just wiped you off the face of the earth or universe or not. We three have been spared, so you have to put up with us for a little while longer.
All the good people
Yes.
that I'm sure have been dusted right now. At
Trump
least
is still here.
At least the three you could rest assured that the three of us awful human beings are still with you.
Hooray for humanity.
We are not the saviors you asked for, but we're the saviors you need.
deserve.
But yeah, if you have not seen this movie yet, get off your fat fucking lazy ass and just go see it. Dude, I'm 400 pounds. If I get off my fat fucking lazy ass to go see this movie, you can do it too.
I've seen it twice.
Yeah, look, big man over here has seen it twice.
Yeah, but I had horrible movie experience.
Hey, whatever gets you there. A horrible movie experience. What happened to you?
Well, the second time I went, I sat next to a guy, and
I'm sorry.
In the beginning of the yeah, thanks. And in the beginning of the movie, he sneezed. Like normally, like it wasn't just one normal sneeze. He sneezed like 7 times. And I'm sitting up there and I'm thinking, oh, I'll say God bless you, but he didn't stop. And it's just like I didn't know when he was going to stop.
Did you just turn around and say, just shut your fucking mouth?
If I had a
This
pillow,
guy dying of like an allergy attack, and Vern's just like, my movie experience, please.
damn straight. Ask my sister, man. I'm serious about my movies. And then his phone went off twice. And then I think the daughter had to explain to him like what was going on in the movie. And
Did
then
he get turned to dust by the end of it, or is he safe too?
I wish he got turned to dust in the beginning of it. Just like watch my movie.
He actually wishes he had the Infinity Gauntlet. Fuck this guy. I heard you say something like if you had a pillow. All I picture is like from the Naked Gun. Like, I must kill. And you just go up there with a blank stare and just starts trying to smother the guy.
Speaking of which, dude, the memes are merciless on the internet. They did do a
So many
O.J.
good
Simpson
memes.
one where he wears the gauntlet.
Oh no.
No.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. The memes are merciless.
And by oh no, I mean oh yes. Oh yeah, the internet community they've been really good with number one. with Facebook normally and social media, you have to be wary of spoilers. It seems like though this time around, I haven't run into too many douchebags spoiling the movie.
Yeah, it's mostly vague stuff,
and they've done a good job being like overtly like you said, vague or subtle, using memes to describe stuff in the movie, but when you don't see it and out of context, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised at the control of the fans.
Yeah.
They really did keep it, like you said, they really did keep it vague.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the internet; it's just nothing but racism and trolls.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually shocked that they kept this on the down low for as long as they did. So kudos to you out there in the World Wide Webs.
Well, you got politics going on, you got the playoffs going, and
this is the last thing people can enjoy. But nothing's sacred anymore.
there's nothing happy on the internet right now.
The internet was not made for happiness.
we've got a very chipper episode, really. It's so fun.
Yeah, we're not like normally we're like fucking like half a thing of Robitussin in, and we're like, yeah, welcome to Real Rant. We're gonna talk about some movies today, and I'm just gonna die. But all right, so diving into the movie, overall,
What's the movie about?
we don't need to go into what the movie's about. We kind of
do-
know what.
let's
There's,
do it.
there's been 10 years of build-up.
Well, it's
but
basically
we'll do a
Thanos'
quick
quest.
synopsis, yeah.
I mean, it's basically Thanos' quest for the Infinity Gauntlet.
Thanos?
Thanos? What did I
Thanos.
say? What did I say?
Is it Thanos or Thanos?
Thanos. Yeah, Thanos. I don't know. John Amos.
Thanos, the hands of fate.
John Amos? Just Stamos?
Mongol has trouble with words sometimes.
Yeah, so that's basically
That was the
it.
nickname I was looking for. Fucking Mongo. Sorry.
Oh.
Derail. And back on track.
So that's the basic of it, is that Thanos has decided to finally collect all the Infinity Stones that they've been teasing for 10 years or
Because
so.
basically he's a cosmic environmentalist.
Yeah. And so he's just hunting them down, and
He's the full
Like-
metaphor for Disney.
Yeah.
I'll take Fox. I'll take that.
Oh, I love those memes.
and that's basically it. It's up to our heroes to stop him from collecting all the stones.
Because if he gets them all together into his power glove, he can wipe out half the universe.
So Marvel has decided to make a giant cinematic crossover between all the heroes of the comic books from the span of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And
I'm just getting goosebumps talking about
yeah, it's one of those things you have to realize, especially in the context of film history. Back when we saw the Avengers, we had never seen something like that before, where we had multiple heroes cross over into the same movie. This is that to the fucking nth degree.
Yeah, it's like minor characters
Yes.
from other movies are showing up in this, or supporting casts from other ones have at least
It is
bit cameos.
Yeah, like they found ways to cram everybody into this fucking movie. Sans a couple that they left out for good reasons. They'll probably show up in the next one if they haven't been snapped and turned to dust. But it's film history because nothing has been done on this scale and done this fucking well.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie.
They sacrificed. Sorry to cut you off, but they sacrificed nothing. None of the characters felt shallow or did anything that felt out of character from how they were in other movies. Everything. It's like, I don't know. Marvel must have sold their soul to the fucking devil because all the or the mouse.
You see Mickey in the pentagram.
I'll take your soul.
The Disney group is just running around Mickey in a circle.
But all the puzzle pieces fit perfectly.
Yeah.
and then
This movie had the possibility to be the biggest clusterfuck, and it didn't.
No.
Which is really impressive.
Yeah, kudos to the Russo brothers for putting
Koodles and Russell.
sorry.
Kudos,
Kudos.
Russos, Thonos.
Sorry, I'm relaxing. It's like kudos to the Russo brothers for putting it all together and stuff.
Cleveland represent.
Yep. So those guys, and the rest of the directors as well. Like I said, the last 10 years,
Yeah,
it's just been an amazing ride. And despite the fact that, in my opinion, only 2 of the movies really weren't all that great.
subpar. I wouldn't say that they were awful, just subpar.
Right. You know which one it is. And
Yeah.
I'm speaking of Iron Man 3 and Thor
2.
Dark World. Yeah. So
It's to not deviate from their plan that they set out from Iron Man. Let's not forget, everything teased was at the end of Iron Man, the original. That's when they
Sam
first
Jackson
teased.
walking out.
Yeah, that's when they first teased the Avengers, and everything has been a stepping stone leading to this point. And the balls, that takes some brass balls on Marvel's part and Disney to follow through with a plan that's 10 years in the making. Now, they may not have said from day one, oh yeah, we're going to get to Thanos, we're going to do all this. But they've stuck with getting us this far, and it's never felt like a what's the thing I'm thinking of, like, oh well, that doesn't make sense, this doesn't work with that because this doesn't make sense with that. They found a way to make everything fit, and especially when you bring in characters like Guardians, that when they did, everybody was like, what the fuck? Like, who the hell? Guardians? You're going to bring them in? Why? And now that risk turned into the biggest reward because it is everybody fucking loves Guardians of the Galaxy now. And it fits well within what the storyline that they're currently telling. Everything has been so masterfully crafted that I swear DC should be sitting back and just fucking taking notes.
they made Ant-Man and they made Ant-Man like awesome. It was just fantastic. You didn't think it was
Ant-Man's always been awesome.
You didn't think it was
quiet.
10 years ago, sorry, I don't want to cut you off. If I came to you and said they were going to make a fucking Ant-Man movie.
I would be like, why?
Yeah.
That would be my first response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't want to cut you
just
off.
People being excited about seeing a movie with a talking tree and a raccoon
Yeah, talking
from
raccoon.
space.
And Batista,
Dave Bautista.
who can hardly talk.
But he's awesome as Drax.
Yes.
He's my favorite part of Guardians.
Oh, he's so good. But I didn't mean to cut you off.
no.
You're gonna.
I was in mid thought about something and I totally forgot about what I was going to say. But it'll come back.
But like, yeah, if I had come, if we had said to each other, if we had go back in time right now, jump in the DeLorean, go back to 2018, and say they were gonna make a movie with fucking Ant-Man and Guardians, we would have been like, you're out of your fucking mind. Where did they bomb? And be like, no, as a matter of fact, they're very successful and they're doing a sequel and sequels to them. And if you could have just said everything that has been laid out this far, I think it would have blown our minds at the time. And like I said, because we're just so used to one-off superheroes and or each series doing their own thing, not being tied in with one another. Marvel has really just changed the way I think superhero movies and superhero universes should be done from now on.
Yeah,
like I brought up DC. DC should just take fucking notes and be
And
like,
when you look
DC
at
needs
it,
a break.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
when you look at it, when Iron Man came out, at the time, Iron Man was not a class hero.
the B.
He was
probably B
if
class.
that. I mean, he was an Avenger, but like when people thought of Marvel, they thought of like the X-Men and stuff like that. They're like, well, what superhero can we start with that no one really has? They didn't have the rights to Spider-Man or anything like that. Like, I guess we'll just try our best with Iron Man, and that sailed
take it
off.
from
And,
there.
yeah,
And it flew. I mean, who knew that when, there was always the talk when Disney bought Marvel, it was just like, oh no, what are they're gonna destroy our heroes. Mm-hmm. And what they really did is quite the opposite.
And good on Marvel and Disney both to realize, because when Marvel first started with Iron Man, that was a property that they produced, but they distributed through Paramount. So good on, and the same thing I think with Incredible Hulk. I think Incredible Hulk was Paramount. So good on Marvel for not only retaining a lot of their stuff, but getting a lot of their properties back. And just like what we're going to see with this Fox merger, which may or may not happen, but I still think they'll end up getting their properties back out of it.
2019, it's going to be settled.
Oh, 2019?
Yeah, 2019, it's going to be settled. So, which means they get Fantastic Four, they get X-Men, they get Deadpool, they get Wolverine. So,
Ghost Rider?
yeah,
Ghost Rider will be back too.
I'm looking forward to that. If they,
I think that'll be Netflix.
Although Ghost Rider, I think, was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
he
Kind of.
was. He
You're
was,
right. The
Reyes.
property did revert back to Marvel.
Yeah.
Just around the same time. Punisher
Yeah, he was
did.
in the television show.
Well, sometimes they trade characters because they had to do it for, I think, when I read an article, they ended up switching some characters for Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ego was one of
Ego,
them.
and for some reason...
It was Teenage Negasonic.
Yeah,
Warhead.
No, it's because the guys for Deadpool just love that character's name.
Yeah,
I can't blame them. That's a fucking awesome
it
name.
really is, and they really portrayed her well, so...
But yeah, it's just so the journey thus far, which we actually should have covered in the last fucking episode that we never put out because we talked more about box office numbers. It seems like
Shades of the Lost episode.
Yeah, so you're getting shades of what the lost episode of Real Ranch should have been right here. We've just been talking about the road leading up to Infinity War. So the movie itself was just. It was just fucking relentless right from the start. Like the movie, it was like a. I don't want to make a Runaway Train comment because I immediately think of Soul Asylum. This runaway train never comes back. But it felt like a runaway like a freight train that just was going downhill, and then it just did not stop. And it manages to shock you. I mean, we've all been kind of accustomed to the whole Marvel formula of superhero movies for the past couple years now, where they don't have a really credible villain and it all has a happy ending.
Yeah, only recently we've gotten a lot more complex villains.
Black Panther was
Black
probably the
Panther
first.
was really the one that kicked that off, I feel.
Yeah, and Thanos has been a few years in the making, and I'll tell you what, he's about as complex and as real a villain as they've ever had.
Yeah, let's get into Thanos in general here.
Yeah,
because he was part of the story.
He's essentially, if you look at him, he's almost a main character. Like, it's almost like his story more, and all the other characters are just kind of in it.
They gave us they gave us a lot of background.
It was almost Thanos the movie.
Yeah, and
it felt very much
even
like
in the end, they're like
movie.
Thanos will return.
Yeah, it was
the Avengers will return.
Yeah, it was a villain's movie. It was a 2-hour movie of here's the fucking villain for you, and it sets up all his motivations. You understand clearly what he's about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think when they first introduced him in the stinger of Avengers, it was just kind of like cheeky, they make a essentially a joke about his motivations from the Infinity Gauntlet comic, where they say, fighting these heroes from Earth is like courting death, which was for some comic backstory, if anyone wants to hear this. The plotline, Thanos' reason in the comics for killing off half of everyone is he has a boner for death. Literally. There's the personification of death is a woman, and Thanos wants all up on.
And I'd tap it. I'd tap it. And I would just bag over the head.
And so he wants to kill off half the universe as like a grand gesture to death
for her.
Yeah. But in this, he has kind of that like environmentalist kind of like he seems he seems like it's for good reasons, but in the end, it's like Killmonger was in Black Panther, where he's just fucking insane.
Okay, let's talk about that. Do you think though that that's his legit reason, or do you think that they'll reveal more? Like that's his to basically be like the balance in the universe. Do you think that's his legit reason, or do you think he's using that as an excuse?
I do think it is because he's not killing off certain people. It's all like
It's random.
it's a lottery.
Yeah, it's random. He's like nobody's going to be the rich, the poor. He goes, it's just going to be totally random of who goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not going to have any control over it.
Yeah, so I do believe that he is, and just the stuff he does, he feels like he is so incredibly dedicated to that cause in the film that he kills someone he loves because he is that dedicated to it. So if it was like him just in the end, like, well, that was my excuse, now I'm ruling everything, it would be almost like a complete cop-out.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. I just think that I don't think we've seen 100% his entire motivations yet. I think putting it all out there right now wouldn't lead, like, I still think there's room to where maybe you could dig a little bit deeper and maybe find a more hidden agenda than him just being like, I'm just going to be the balancing act to everything and just wipe half the universe out. Like, he could have, like, he still could have be harboring something that made him want to do it, and he's using it as the excuse. I mean, I don't know. I think it would be interesting if it played out that way, that maybe there is sort of that, if they brought that death angle into it.
Well, there's certain villains that... There's always been a thing where certain villains always think they're right.
That's what makes the best villains, when they believe they're on the moral side of...
I mean, Dr. Doom was always that way, that he believed that he can do better than the world leaders of the world, so that's why he wants to control the world. Magneto, you know, he feels that he can make a better world if mutants were higher than what did he call them? Is it Homo sapiens?
It's Homo superior. I don't know. Is it Homo? Yes, I think it's Homo superior.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
how'd that work out? Read about some
So yeah, each villain always thinks that they have the right, and they can do better than what actually is.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
But I mean, we're all in agreement. The movie was just it was phenomenal.
It was phenomenal. I mean, there was
it wasn't flawless.
There was a few problems I have, and I actually want to talk to you guys about that. I'm pretty sure you heard the rumors on the internet, like, why didn't they do this at one point, or why didn't they do this another point?
So, like, why didn't Thanos just make more resources for everyone?
All right, let's
I heard that one too, and I heard somebody explain it, and I'll just reiterate what they said that I heard. Thanos isn't in the business of creation. He's just taking what is and just what's there. He can't really... I know he could have the reality. He has that reality stone, but it's not real reality. It's like a false reality. But he can't use the reality stone and just make new things. He can't make new worlds for people to occupy. He just can control what's there, and he's just going to wipe out half of what's there.
I think it also boils down to he's mad.
Yes.
He's called the Mad Titan.
They call him the Mad Titan for a reason.
And he's in the business of killing, and business is a booming.
All right, let's break this down. All right,
Okay.
one of the things that I've heard online that talked about is, like, why didn't the Hulk attack in the first place on the ship? And so I hear
like
that
they were just waiting because they wanted a quip to send him into battle.
Yeah.
and I'm sitting, it's like, really? I go, really? We're going to get into this?
They really wanted that throwback line, Vern.
Yeah.
And they got it.
Hey, I enjoyed it.
And then it was just a squash match from there because, like, they're like, oh, we got Hulk in your face. And, like, Thanos is like, fuck your Hulk.
All right, and so there's another one that I heard talking about, like, why didn't Doctor Strange just portal his arm off?
Easier said than done.
And I'm thinking, it's like, they actually would have to physically force his arm through the portal, and he had, like, we already saw that he had over, like, Hulk-like strength.
Yeah.
Well, terrestrial weapons weren't doing shit to him.
Right.
And even if you tried, if he knew it was coming, he could use the gauntlet and turn it into like a fish. We saw what he did to
Drax and Mantis.
Yeah, you saw what he did to Drax and Mantis. You saw what he did to Star-Lord's gun, like he put the fucking bubbles. I like you. And then he disappears in the fucking portal.
Thanos, if anything I got out of this movie, it's Thanos likes bubbles.
Yes.
It was like nice.
He
kitty
uses
kitty.
like 2 or 3 instances where he turns things into bubbles.
I just picture him like with the blowing bubbles on that sunset.
puts a smile on my face.
But yeah, and I heard the same thing too. Why didn't they just cut his arm off to instead of going through all that trouble just to remove the
It's
gauntlet?
like, do you know how strong Thanos
Yeah.
freaking is?
He was taking fucking ray blasts from Iron Man like it was nothing, and then just gets after everything gets a little cut on his cheek, and he even says a line, all that for just a drop of blood. It's easier said than done. I love when people try to when they try to simplify doing something, and sometimes it can work. But when you're dealing with a celestial being like fucking Thanos, who already is OP with the shit he already has, I mean, that's like fucking coming at Jason Voorhees with a butter knife. You're fucked. You're fucked. There's no way around it. And they tried. They almost got it. Except Peter Quill had to go and fuck it up. And there is a meme of that going around, too.
Yes.
What was it? Who are you more pissed off at?
Kanye
or Peter Quill? Kanye or Star-Lord? And yeah, if Star-Lord didn't decide to punch him in the face and knock Mantis off, movie could have ended differently.
Yeah,
but,
also, let's look at this realistically. They chop off his arm. That's a pretty short movie.
yeah.
I don't know about you, but I like to be entertained.
Yeah. I think people just
Find stuff.
they find stuff like that, and then what the worst of the people do is sit on shit like that and say, well, now the movie sucks because of that, or the plot doesn't make any sense because of that, or what the favorite go-to word is, that's a plot hole. No, that is not a plot hole. Let's set this for the record straight.
Thanos' hand off with is a plot hole.
Yeah, we're gonna cut it out with a plot hole. Let me take 2 seconds to rant about this very subject because I fucking hate this. It is the overuse of the fucking term plot hole. A plot hole is when you go, and in a story, when you go from point A to point C with no point B explaining how you got there. That is a fucking plot hole. There's a big difference between a plot hole and nitpicking. Nitpicking like that with cutting off the arm instead of removing the gauntlet. That is not a plot hole. That's just being fucking nitpicky. And you know what? They were human beings. Human beings do stupid fucking shit all the time.
Look at YouTube.
Look at the 2016 election.
I wish
I'm taking it there.
I wish everyone could see how angry DJ's face looked.
I just got all red. I'm literally turning
He's
into
turning green.
Like he legit real ranted there.
I'm like having an Alex Jones moment. God damn it! Turning into Kool-Aid Man over here. But no, it's something that it annoys me when they use that term plot hole and when against something that is not a plot hole. It's just you're just nitpicking the script.
Why does everything have to be explained? That's my thing. Why can't you use your own imagination?
You're preaching to the choir, Vern.
Why can't you use your own imagination to figure out why?
Because we're in an age, I call it the post-Nolan age of films and superhero stuff, where people need to be spoon-fed every little bit of fucking detail. And if they're not, they just they can't process it, or they look like, oh, I don't know anything about that. That's a fucking plot hole. No, it's not. It's just you're not privy to certain information. And I'm sure it's been done before. I only earmark it with the start of Nolan because of Batman Begins and how he went through all the trouble of showing how everything was fucking laid out, that now if you don't do that in a movie, it's like, well, how do you get that? How do you get that? Well, you know what? They just did. Fuck you. All right, rant over. anything else with the plot, with the movie that we want to discuss, we don't need to go through a synopsis, like step by step of what happened in the movie. But let's just talk about, before we get into effects and characters and stuff like that, let's talk about some of our favorite parts of the movie. I thought, for as dark and grim as the movie gets at the end, I thought a lot of the jokes were hilarious, especially with the Guardians.
Oh.
Excuse me for coughing. I had a tickle in my throat, but when they're all fighting, when the Guardians show up to fight Iron Man and Strange and Spider-Man.
I know where you're going with this.
Yes, I fucking loved this, and I died laughing in the theater when I saw it. And that's when they're slowly figuring out that they're not on opposing sides. And Doctor Strange goes, well, wait a minute. Like, he looks at Star-Lord. He's like, what master do you serve? And then Star-Lord's like, how am I supposed to answer that one? Jesus?
They make a reference to Footloose.
Yes.
And Peter Quill goes like crazy asking.
It's like the greatest movie
it
ever was.
He asks Parker if it's still the best movie, and Parker says it never was.
Because they even made reference to the first Guardians movie, how he defeated what's his name with the dance off.
Oh
yeah, they talk about that,
and that's where the Footloose thing came up. But once again, we mentioned him earlier with Batista, spot on as Drax. I mean, the dude just continues to knock it out of the park.
That bit where he's slowly eating.
Yes.
Is one of the best
how long have
parts
you
to
been
me.
there? An hour.
It's like I move extremely slow, no one can notice me. And then he does this like long dragged out like bite. He's like eating like snackies. And he takes this slow, drawn out like bite of one. And then eventually like Mantis just walks in the room and says like, "Oh, hi Drax," and he just gives it up from there and walks away. And it's one of the best parts of that movie was Drax.
I like the Winter Soldier and Rocket Raccoon team up.
Yes.
He picks him up and just spins around in a circle. Like, I love that because it's like he could hit anyone. Like, it's just spray fire. like Bucky didn't really think that out. That he's also has allies on this side.
It's just hilarious. It's like, how much for that gun? Gun's not for sale.
I'm gonna get that on.
The beautiful irony of Peter Dinklage.
Yes.
Playing a giant
That was
dwarf,
awesome.
A dwarf or troll?
Yeah, they called him a dwarf,
Yeah.
but he's really huge.
He's like fucking like 50 feet tall.
That whole scene was neat when Thor's making his new hammer.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, some of the cameos were actually really good. Like unexpectedly, the Red Skull shows up as the
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
as the Soul Guardian.
Yeah, he's like the guardian of the Soul Stone.
Do we think we see him again in like any other future
I don't
movie?
know.
Or do you think that that's the one-off and he's done?
I don't know. They've kind of made the gesture of like, all right, we've done Red Skull, we're done with it. There's other villains.
And even him, he's like, oh yeah, I used to think I can control everything, and now here I am doing this.
But since the Soul Gem isn't there anymore, what's left for him to do?
That's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't foresee him in any more,
But you never
but
know.
it'd be neat.
It's Marvel. I mean, just like the
It's a new actor. It's not Hugo Weaving.
Yeah, they made him look like him. And
It's, I think if I remember correctly, it's the guy who was Aaron in Walking Dead.
yes, and from what I was told, the reason why Marvel specifically sought him out is because he does impressions, and he does impressions really well. And he does a Hugo Weaving impression, which is why they got him for the movie.
Yeah, you can tell he sounds a little different, but
yeah.
nothing distracting.
No, and they still made him look like Hugo Weaving Red Skull.
I was just, you know what? I was just mind fucked. He was in the. It's like, well, they brought the skull back.
Like, there he is. It's only been like 8 years since we've seen him.
And that was the really cool thing about this movie is it wasn't just the heroes that they like. The heroes, it was also the villains. I mean, you got to see what the Collector.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you saw him for a half a tick.
Yeah, and then Yeah, he's fucking toast.
But I also enjoyed the villains in this one. The Black Order.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Who I know, but I can't name most of them.
Oh god.
I know Ebony
they're
Maw
all
was
weird names.
Yeah, Ebony Maw was,
Ebony Maw is the most normal name I think out of all of them.
and Proxima.
Yeah, it's like
Midnight,
Proxima Midnight
and I can't even tell you who the other two were.
Corlius Orbrian.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember them from the comics, and I'm glad they brought them to life, and I'm glad they played a big part.
Yeah,
in trying to get the.
Yeah, they were essentially
stones.
like the evil Avengers.
Yeah, the overly cosmic power.
Yeah,
Evil Avengers.
they had like the Hulk-ish one.
Yeah.
Who I think I don't remember his name. His name was Black Dwarf in the comic.
Okay. But I think they used all of them but one. So.
Yeah, Super Giant.
But
Sorry.
all right, going into the plot. I know we're kind of jumping out of
Jumping
order
all
here,
over the place.
but
That's how excited we were
No,
about
now
the
we're talking
movie!
about the plot stone.
let's just jump right to the end and let's just talk about the fucking deaths.
Let's just get this out of the way.
Let's get right
let's
into the
get to
fucking
the meat
nitty
and
gritty.
This is what the
potatoes.
people are listening for
Yes.
anyway.
This is what that one person, which will be me 3 times, bumping up that playlist count. Yeah, just all the fucking deaths in this movie.
It's
Some more shocking than others.
It was, and some of them are just like grueling, like punch you in the gut. Like, because there's certain ones like you're like, well, Vision's got a gem in his head, he's gonna die.
I have a theory about Vision. I think Shuri made a copy of Vision's whatever processors were, because if you saw her, she did what she did real quick, and she just kind of she got kind of knocked out of the way. But I think she made a copy.
Swiped it, like she
Yeah.
basically like did something and then swiped it off screen.
So I think Vision's going to still be around.
Yeah, but you had him like, you're like, oh well, he's gonna die, but then it turns out that like Scarlet Witch has to kill him, and so you're like, oof. This is already, like, that's getting heavy. And then she kills him. And then Thanos shows up and says, nah, dog. He reverses time, brings Vision back to life, recreates the Mind Stone, and then aces him again.
In front of her.
Who forgot about the Time Stone? I did.
For a split second I did, because I thought when Scarlet Witch killed him, I'm like, oh, they're going to stretch this into the next movie to where somehow he's going to have to, like, piece together the stone again or something. But then I remembered, I'm like, oh, fuck, he has the Time Stone. I'm like, he's going to use it. Because then Thor hit him with the axe. And then that's when he made the comment about, your next time aim for the head. And then he reversed time and did what he did and just fucking ripped the stone out of Vision's head. But very first death of the movie, a few hundred Asgardians, and then
Heimdall.
Heimdall.
Yeah, he hurt me the most. I think when they killed Heimdall.
Where do we think that? There was no mention of Valkyrie or the other one.
Oh, like Korg and
and
Meek.
Korg.
According to my god niece, who's been looking this stuff on the internet, she said some of the Asgardians escaped off the ship.
Okay.
Well, even then, he would have only killed half of them.
Yeah. So it's John, a buddy I work with at a movie theater. A friend of mine, his name is John. I was talking with him the one day, and he said that he believes that during scuffle or whatever, Thor and Loki would have sent Valkyrie to take the women and children off the ship, and maybe let the men try to fight off Thanos or whatever.
I can actually see Heimdall doing that before
Valkyrie.
Yeah, I can actually see. Yeah, I can actually see him do it because he's at the time he still had the ability to throw people through space pretty much.
Oh yeah, 'cause that's how they get Hulk back to Earth.
Which is actually a nod from one of the comic books.
Yeah, isn't it? It's originally Silver Surfer. He does that too.
So, Heimdall, gone. A few hundred Asgardians,
Loki.
gone.
Loki.
Loki gets deep sixed. Now, do we think it's for real, or do we think it's...
It looks pretty real.
Or do we think it's all a ruse?
No, I think it's real. It was too close, and there was no way for him to manipulate it.
That is true. Although we've seen this before with him, and we thought it was real before.
I think Thor makes a comment of like, oh, he's died before, but this time I think it's for real.
I mean, I think we could... It's one of those things that I think... it's easily writable that if they ever wanted to bring him back, they could. Because he's Loki.
Because and plus, he's such an amazing character.
Yeah.
On a side note, how shitty of a week did Thor have?
Holy shit! Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now you think about it.
This takes place I don't know, like a day or two after Thor Ragnarok.
You lost your dad. You pretty much had to kill your sister.
Yeah, you found out you had a sister.
Yeah, all your best friends are dead.
Yeah, your homeworld got obliterated. And then what's left of you on a small ship gets fucking taken out by a space titan. That fucking blows. And I thought my week was bad.
Then his brother dies, and then now he's got to team up with a raccoon.
And by the way,
rabbit, he calls it.
Rabbit. And by the way, it was kind of funny, like when they brought him on the ship, and he was like, yeah, he's just a dude. Or he's like, no, you're a dude. He goes, this is a man. It's like a pirate and an angel. They had a baby.
It's like, please, Quill, you're one sandwich away from being fat. No, I'm not.
He starts lowering his voice. I always talk like this.
It's so funny that that Quill is still kind of childish. Like he's still that 8-year-old boy.
Yes, that's part of his charm, though. Like, he wouldn't be Quill without it.
So let's get into who else. Who is
the next death was Gamora?
Oh, I think it was.
I think you're right.
Because Thanos, I mean, if you don't look, if you take out of the equation Squidward, his minion Squidward.
Squidward.
I can't remember his name. He was pretty badass. He's using fucking Sith powers, throwing shit everywhere.
He's slicing things, and then one of his own teammates gets thrown at him. What's he do? Just wipes him to the side.
He was pretty badass. I loved his powers. But outside of those, I'm trying to think. Best of my knowledge, I think Gamora was the next.
Yeah.
And that one kind of hit me too, even though they were there for a reason and I knew what was going to happen. I'm sitting there going, when she's all being goading him on, oh, now you can't do what you were here to do, ha ha. I'm sitting there in the theater, I'm like, bitch, you better back away from him. He's going to chuck you off that fucking edge.
He turns around and he's crying, and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, she's gone.
Throws her off the cliff and then
gains soul gem from there. This is the idea of the soul gem is trading a soul for a soul.
Yep.
Which I wonder if this is just a side thing. If she's in the Soul Stone now,
see, I was
an Adam Warlock kind of thing.
Yeah, I thought that too, especially after he snapped his finger and used the gauntlet. And,
little girl her shows up, and it's an orange background that they're in. Now you think about it,
because they changed it. Because originally the Soul Gem in the books is green, because Adam Warlock used to have it. Mm-hmm. And so the colors are all confusing.
Yeah, the colors are all mixed up. But yeah, I didn't even think of that. That when he has that vision, it's kind of reddish orange.
Yeah.
And she talks to him.
It's almost like changing the colors of Trix.
I only know one Trix. That's yellow, goddamn. But then who died after that? Well. Actually, before Gamora, it would have been the Collector. Even though you briefly see him, I mean, because Thanos was using the Reality Stone
to hide what he did
to hide what he
Nowhere.
fucking did to him and nowhere.
Poor Cosmo.
Oh no, Cosmo!
We at least know Howard the Duck is safe because Howard the Duck is somewhere else.
I want to see them do a Howard the Duck movie.
Don't encourage them.
Dude, they did well with Ant-Man. It's like I can only imagine what they do with a Howard the Duck movie.
I don't know about a standalone, but if he was like a side character, like a supporting character for somebody, for like another superhero, I would be okay with it.
They'll just do a man thing.
Well, they've actually used him a lot in the cartoon on Disney Guardians of the Galaxy.
They've had a couple references to a lot of other of the cosmic characters, especially in Ragnarok. They had like all the champion spaces up on the Lone Tower.
Yes.
And like Man Things is a face on there, and Beta Ray Bills is a face on there.
I'm trying to think other deaths.
I think after the Soul Gem, that's when the big battle.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
when
on Titan.
the
And then-
mass exodus happens after that.
Then we're on Titan, and then we almost get a
Oh, they fake out with a Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man. Fucking, we almost thought goes down, but
Which I really think, because in the real rants that is now lost, we all actually had a prediction of how many characters would die and who we thought they were. And I believe I said 1, and I think Vern said 2, and DJ said 3. And they were all variants of Iron Man, Captain America, and I think DJ
I think I
put
said
Black
Black
Widow
Widow
in there. And turns out we're all wrong.
we're all very wrong.
We were everyone died,
And here's-
and the people we thought were going to die all lived.
And here's the thing, and we should have considered this. If they were going to do a part 2, then it's not Avengers and Friends movie. It's an
Yeah.
Avengers movie.
Yeah.
So if you're going to use the last one, why wouldn't the last remaining Avengers survive?
Yeah, it's like the surviving characters are like the original Avengers and like 2 or 3 other people.
Because Rocket ended up
Rocket's
surviving.
the only Guardian left.
So, unless you count Nebula.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's still around.
Yeah, and War Machine's like the only new Avenger left.
Yeah, because everybody, Falcon's gone, Bucky's gone, Spider-Man's gone,
Scarlet Witch is gone.
Witch is gone.
Falcon's gone.
Vision is not gone, but he's gone.
Did we say Scarlet Witch?
Yeah.
Did you say Black Panther?
No, yeah, Black Panther's
Panther's
gone.
gone.
We're just gonna get M'Baku instead, which would be the best.
Who's going to be the new king? Is it going to be Shuri or is it going to be M'Baku?
Yeah, I don't know. I just like the idea of all these other characters, like miscellaneous characters teaming with the Avengers.
Because I think I think the second part, I think it's going to be a few years.
Yeah, they might
in
be.
the future.
They've kind of teased, and we'll have to see what they do with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Is they've kind of teased that
his daughter.
they have like
cast his daughter.
a teen actress for Cassie, and so maybe there is a time jump, and maybe we see Cassie, because in the comics she was a hero too.
It would make sense because her and Ant-Man and Wasp, I think she's about like 10 years old or like 11 or something like that.
She's pretty young.
Or maybe like 12. So she's in that range, maybe like about 12, 13 years old. And then casting a teenager. So there might be a few years of a jump. And speaking of which, for the next movie, do we think we see Hawkeye?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yes.
Because this was another thing I was talking about with my
I'm
buddy
sure-
from work. I have a feeling that his wife and kid were a casualty of Thanos, and that may put him back on the playing field.
And I think we're going to see at the end of Ant-Man and Wasp, I think we're going to see... Because I think it's happening right before everything happens with
I think
Thanos.
we'll see it in the credits.
Yeah, I think
Or
something's
right
going to
after the
happen where we're going to see, like, people close to Lang or something.
It could be Pym and Lang
Yeah.
both go.
Or it could be all
Yeah,
of
it
them.
could be.
Or it
yeah.
could be all
It
of
could
them,
be all of
yeah.
them, and Cassie's the only one left or something like that.
No,
So-
because she's going to need help with the growth. But of course, Lawrence Fishburne is
Oh,
playing
he's gonna
Bill
be
Foster.
playing, Goliath.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that turns out. But I think I think maybe like the stinger, we see a connection to Infinity War from the Ant-Man crew.
And then we still got Captain Marvel, which was the end, the teaser.
Oh yeah,
at
that
the
was the
end
stinger
of
at the end.
The stinger at the end,
Which is supposed to be a prelude.
It's
before
a
Actually, it's supposed to be before Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's supposed to be set in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why he had that pager. I'm like, who the hell has a pager in this day and age?
Cosmic pager.
Oh, so she's gonna be like, she was like out in space somewhere, and he was contacting her.
I would have been happier, and you probably would agree with it. I would have been happier if I would have saw a call and it shows Sword.
Yeah, that
and
would have been
then
cool.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Like Sword is like the equivalent of
like
Shield.
it's
but
like Space Shield.
Okay. That actually would have been pretty sweet to see.
But I guess it's supposed to cross over. I guess they've been talking about it, like, the events it's supposed to cross over in Agents of Shield.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are they actually going to acknowledge that?
Well-
This movie didn't acknowledge.
Coulson's supposed to be in Captain Marvel.
Is he?
Yeah.
Because I can see it actually happening since Maria Hill's gone
Mm-hmm.
and Nick Fury is gone. That I can see Coulson taking over
Oh, that would be.
Shield.
Yeah, because this movie kind of ignores, and in general, the films kind of ignore like the television shows.
Every once in a while they pop in.
Like the television shows always reference the movies, but the movies rarely reference the
Shield has
television
been god
show.
awful.
Yeah. I haven't watched Shield in forever, but even like the Netflix shows, like you could have seen
That's-
like Daredevil show up or something.
That's
like
one
that.
thing I do wish that they would incorporate, even if it was just a one scene cameo, Murdoch or Daredevil, of like Punisher or Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, something to create a little. It doesn't need to be overly, but just a little bit more
Just a little something,
connectivity.
yeah.
Just give us a little something.
Well, they call the New York invasion the incident.
Yeah, they always refer to it as the incident.
So
All right, well, let's roll right into. I mean, we pretty much covered overall. We talked about the movie, talked about the plot. What do you want to talk about?
effects.
Effects.
Yeah.
All right, I was gonna say that's really one of the last things we have to talk about is the effects of this movie.
All right. This is
Did
actually.
we start off with the good, the bad, or the ugly?
Let's start off with the good. All right, because I want to start off with the battle. I thought the battle with Thanos was excellent.
Yeah.
'Cause
Almost every battle with Thanos, I thought was really good.
I geeked out when Doctor Strange used the bands of Kryotech. And I'm sitting there, it's like, oh my god, he's using the bands. And then everybody's looking at me like, what? And I'm just like,
Look at this comic book nerd over here enjoying his comic book movie. Fucking nerd.
And it was like a thing. So I love that Doctor Strange's cape is
It still continues to be its own
yeah,
character.
which is great.
I felt bad when like Thanos kind of ripped it a little.
And again, Drax, die cape of death.
So that's one of the things I want to talk about. I know what you want to talk about. So we all saw the same thing. It was, and some of the special effects in this movie felt short.
Yeah, I would say 90% of the effects in this movie were really good.
Yeah, I really like the effect when everyone's turning to dust and their faces like fading away.
You monster!
It was the
Once
best.
again, Todd got to bring it down.
I was just remember when everyone died? But that effect was really neat.
Everyone dies the movie. I thought a lot of the effects were really good. I like when Thanos turned like Mantis into like when he like almost she's like all
she
severed
turns into,
and
like,
ribbons and
Drax turns into
like
bricks.
like bricks and blocks and just falls apart.
I also found out that was also another tribute from out of the books.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, but it wasn't Mantis and Drax. It was like two other people.
Yeah, it was like Eros and someone.
Yeah.
Nebula might have been Nebula.
Yeah, I think it was Nebula.
The battle effects were a big step up from Black Panther, which I thought at times it looked a little cartoony with its effects. I thought they did a really good job with making the effects in this movie look really good. Except for one part in particular. I noticed it. I've only seen the movie one time.
I think
so
everybody noticed it.
and if they didn't, shame on them. But or if they have, maybe just ignorance is bliss and they don't know any better. But for those of you that do know your special effects and everything, the scene I'm talking about, or scenes I'm talking about, that I had the biggest problem with special effects wise was Mark Ruffalo in the Hulkbuster suit with the helmet off. When he's inside of it with the helmet on and you're none the wiser, it looks perfectly fine.
It looks great, yeah.
It's fine, and they probably just should have left it at that.
Or they should have took him out of the suit.
Yes, or they could have taken him out of the suit. And then we'll just have Mark Ruffalo running around.
Yay, Mark Ruffalo!
Mark Ruffalo, huh? But no, they could have just left it with the hood down, and each time they wanted to cut back to Ruffalo to say something, they could have done the Tony Stark, just gone inside the helmet. You see his face and everything.
He kind of did that. Although the weird thing was like he had like the HUD, and then all of a sudden like the Hulk's face shows up the screen, and it looked weird to me.
It looked weird, but that's with the helmet off. With the helmet off, it was the worst CG compositing
It really was.
I have seen in a big budget movie in a long fucking time. In a long time.
It was like we ran out of cash. Just do what you can.
It's like they hired somebody from like a technical college, or from the AV high school AV club, and was like, "Here, can you just drop Mark Ruffalo in here, and you just make sure he's tracking well enough?" I mean, the coloring was off. There was no shadows on him to make it look like he was a part of the environment. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. I gotta go see it again. But his coloring looked off the way with everything else. There was no environmental like shadows or anything on him. He just didn't look like he was there. And it took me out of it. Just took anytime he came on, it just took me out of it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, that just looks so fucking awful. You're fucking Marvel and Disney. How did this get through? Unless it was like a 0-hour thing where they're like, fuck it, and we'll fix it on DVD. Because, oh my God, was that?
No
it was
one's paying attention to Mark Ruffalo.
It was atrocious.
No, it's Mark Ruffalo. Nobody's paying attention.
No one cares about Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, speaking of Mark Ruffalo, did you hear the thing, though, that came out recently that the director of The Incredible Hulk originally wanted Mark Ruffalo for that movie instead of Edward Norton? I can't remember why, or I think Edward Norton was forced onto him by the studio just for a name.
Is that the movie that we see like almost no one from entirely?
Except for Ross.
Yeah,
Except for
Thunderbolt Ross is the only character from that we've ever seen again.
Well,
Yeah.
Stark at the end.
Yeah, but that's it was intentional,
But-
and even like it's a different banner.
And Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Because he's in everything.
But I did find it interesting that he originally wanted Mark Ruffalo for that role. So it's funny that it kind of works out that Marvel's like, oh, Edward Norton turns out to be a big dick. Okay, we'll just go with Mark Ruffalo.
Let's go with Mark Ruffalo,
who has been doing phenomenal. Like I've said, they could do another Hulk movie if they wanted to, and I think a Hulk team up with somebody else, and I think it'd be a kick-ass movie.
Yeah, it was like Thor was like half a Thor movie and half a Hulk movie.
Yeah, it was like a buddy cop film.
Yeah, it was pretty much Planet Hulk mixed with some Thor stuff.
But that was my gripes. That was my only real gripe about the CGI, and that just looked like fucking clown shoes.
Speaking of which, I did like, again, I love the effect with Thor and the lightning. I thought that was great. And the entrance that came in when came in, when Stormbreaker, I love that too. When you see Groot, Thor, and Rocket just charge into battle. And it's just like, oh, it's just a tree you got and a raccoon. And, nobody cares. Just fight alongside us.
Let's go fight these monster things with no eyes.
Oh, and that was the other thing that my friends were talking about was Groot worthy of picking up Stormbreaker? That was the that.
Oh,
was
like another plot hole.
Yeah,
Plot hole, quote unquote.
And I go, it's not. I'm gonna butcher the name, so screw you. Mjolnir.
Yeah, it's not the hammer.
It's not the hammer.
Here's something. This is a little bit of nitpicky before we get into a little more ranty about the movie. One thing that's always I've kind of started nitpicking about like characters and anything, and Iron Man specifically. Can they find less way? Like when he suits up, I get it. He has advanced tech and all that shit.
He's always improving the suit.
But I mean, the suit just fucking materializes out of nothing now.
It's made of nanobots.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I get that. I'm just saying, like, I kind of liked it better in the old days. Not saying that he needs to stand on a platform and he needs to be constructed around him. But even like in Iron Man 2, where he had, I think, like the briefcase or something, and he pulled it and the suit kind of folded out of that. It's just like anything now, it's like, oh, I have something the size of a quarter in my hand. Iron Man suit all around him.
Well, to be honest with you, there's actually a book out there with Iron Man's armory, like the different suits that he have. Like there's actually weird stuff like that in the books. Like there's like an invisible Iron Man suit where it's just nothing but wires.
Oh wow!
Where he has repulsor rays and stuff in it. It's just So I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that they didn't pull that out of one of the books.
Yeah, I'm not saying the technology and all that stuff. I think it's just like how he could just pull it out of his ass whenever he wants, and I guess that's all part of the whole thing with the character. It's just me being a little nitpicky. It's not like it's not like here we go, he's shooting up out of nowhere again. Angry troll nerd. It's just one of those things. It's like, could they make it a little bit more realistic, quote unquote? And I know that's a buzzword.
Yeah, you're walking a dangerous line here.
Damn it! Says the guy wearing the Superman shirt. Talking about Avengers.
Fuck you. That's just me being.
I want more realism in my talking raccoon movie.
Dealing with fucking space gems and talking raccoons. It's just one of those things.
Well, why don't
it's
we
just
call
one
you
of those
Whitefish.
Damn it, Vern! We weren't going to get racial.
Sorry, Robot Chicken just came.
That's just being a little nitpicky. That had no bearing either way on the movie.
Don't care, screw you, love the suit.
Before we wrap up this discussion on Avengers, and we're approaching the hour and 10-minute mark now. Any of you guys have any last final things to say about the movie?
Marvel wanted to make Empire Strikes Back. That's pretty much what this movie is. Actually, I think Empire Strikes Back had a more happy ending.
Yeah. Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite. They can't save him. Luke gets his hands cut off. Finds out Vader's his father. Millennium Falcon's sort of destroyed. Not destroyed, but it doesn't work well. Lando steals Han Solo's clothes and wears them for whatever fucking weird reason. Flies off with his best friend.
But even in the end of
but
Empire,
there's still a little bit of hope.
Yeah, there's a little bit of hope. It's a bittersweet.
Yeah.
And
there was no hope in this.
Yeah, this is sour. This just goes straight down. The last line of the movie is Steve Rogers going, "Oh my god." and that's it.
And even the villain who did all this, you think he'd be celebrating, throwing himself a parade, patting himself on the back?
He's not even happy.
No, he goes and sits in his little hut on his world, wherever the fuck he's at, to watch a sunset. And the look on his face is
That's a reference to the comic too.
Yeah, he does do a lot of farming.
In the end of the comic,
and overalls and a straw hat.
He puts his armor on like a scarecrow, and then like picks up a hoe and starts, and he's dressed like in like just like a normal farmer clothes,
What
not like
the
overalls,
fuck
but
is
like
this?
yeah,
Is this like-
it's the end of the Infinity
Yeah,
Gauntlet.
it's just how it is.
Wow.
It's just how he relaxes.
I need to read these things, man. Like I and I
Infinity
was just
Gauntlet
making
was a
a
fun
joke,
read.
like,
Yeah,
I
it
like
really
the
was.
Infinity Gauntlet.
It's the other ones that really weren't all that great.
Yeah, Infinity Gauntlet legitimately is a pretty fun comic to read.
but yeah, even then,
It's same thing. Everyone gets super murdered in it.
but even then, he just sits down and he looks very somber.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just had to do the hardest thing I had to do in my life, and
Well, even because
got
like,
no enjoyment out of it.
like when they're all fighting him on Titan, and like because he kills Gamora, and they note that legitimately he's mourning after that. Like, because when Mantis is on him, she's
saying,
yeah, she's like
mourning.
he's mourning. He feels great sadness. Like, this is a dude who's now like quasi suicidal even. So like he's so justified into his cause, but it brings him no happiness. Again, because he's a crazy guy. But yeah, the ending of this is a sucker punch, and a good kind of sucker punch, because it does leave you like hungry for more.
Oh, I want the new one like right now.
Yeah,
I wanted it when I left the theater.
So, but like I was telling you guys earlier, like when I saw it, the movie ended, and everyone left the theater just in silence, and you could tell everyone was like just down after all their favorite heroes just turned to sand.
There was no buzz.
I heard a few sniffs.
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, I heard those.
yeah.
Too.
It was just a gut punch of an ending, but like in the best way.
There was no. Typically, after one of these movies ends, there's buzz leaving the theater. People are talking about like, oh, that end credit scene. What does that mean? This and that. And they're,
Oh, this was my favorite part.
Yeah, they're buzzing leaving the theater, and they're all like kind of happy leaving the theater. Todd hit it right on the head. When people left the theater, when I saw it, it was like leaving a fucking funeral.
Yeah, it was somber.
Like, nobody was saying a word. All you heard was just the footsteps of people leaving. Maybe whispering a couple things. But it was just more or less people just going, holy fuck. Like, just leaving the theater. I don't know if you have... I was thinking of one last thing to bring up before we end it. Did you have anything else to say?
All I know is that I'm going to have to start eating healthy because... I want to be well so I can watch the rest of that movie next year.
But Vern, I don't feel so
Oh,
good.
no.
Then a Kansas song kicks in.
Dust in the wind.
How long will it take before when that movie comes out on DVD, somebody makes that into a YouTube video? I'm calling it right now. We're gonna do it as soon as that movie comes out.
There's so many memes, and the thing of it is that we're gonna be seeing this for
Ever.
quite a bit, for quite a while.
It's gonna be the new nuke the fridge thing.
You know, because even with the whole with the Cavs being the Raptors, it's just hilarious. I mean, we see LeBron wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. We see some of the Raptor players disappear.
Like DeRozan, he got ejected in that last game. They were just faded away off the court. LeBron's sitting there like,
But I do like the aftermath. My last thought was I did like the aftermath of the post credits scene of seeing what's happening on Earth. I mean obviously they were in Wakanda, but with
like the helicopter
Fury,
smashing into
so
the.
I did like the after effects. So I'm really looking forward to seeing
how it fucks if it fucks up
Ant-Man and Wasp.
Oh yeah,
and I'm really to see I think we're gonna see a lot of that in there. I'm kind of hoping we just see a spoof of that in Deadpool, but I know it's not gonna happen. But that would be kind of cool.
Before we cut this episode off here, real quick, do we think anybody that was killed off, is there any one of them you could see not coming back?
I don't know. I read a lot of comics.
I mean, I know everyone
comes
in this,
back.
but do you think for this? But do you think that they may an intention, like out of everyone that has died, and even the ones that have turned that dust snap. Do we think?
Well, like we said,
any of them
Vision
permanently
maybe
stay dead?
Vision maybe coming back.
Do we think Gamora stays dead?
No, I think it's going to be a reboot.
And I think even if she does stay dead, I think she's connected in with the Soul Gem, and I think that maybe Guardians 3 we see her come back with Adam Warlock connected in with the Soul Stone and stuff like that. Maybe.
That could be a good connection.
That's going to be my out of left field prediction. If she does stay dead after the events of the next Avengers,
but
maybe that happens.
But consensus, not unanimous, but consensus here is that Loki is gone. He's definitely dead.
Yeah, the Asgardians I don't know, because they were like, and like almost everyone who's dusted, you're like, oh, maybe they'll come back. But there's like the legitimate deaths that you're like, ooh, I don't know, that might stick.
I think it's going to be a reboot. I think when we see the next movie, it's going to be years after everybody disappeared, and I can see. I'm only saying this because I'm predicting the 2019 merger with the whole Fox, and I'm hoping to see like maybe a Fantastic Four tower, or something Fantastic Four-ish or X-Men-ish or something that's going to connect, and it's like, and all of a sudden, whoever Fox had licensed will appear in this universe.
Get some new blood.
Yeah.
Well, now because of Thanos showing up, and especially on Earth, it opens up the doorway to more cosmic stuff that they could go out and explore, which would give the explanation of Fantastic Four down the road.
Right.
Do we really quick again with the whole tying into the deaths thing? Do we feel that everything will be wrapped up in this new movie, in the next one that comes out next year, or do you think there will be some Do you think there will be some holdover with resolving certain things in their own separate movies, or do you think everything gets tied up in a nice big bow at the end of this next Avengers movie, and then everything is back to normal?
I'm gonna say it's not gonna be a big bow because there's always consequences. And people are going to remember. I think maybe some people are going to remember what happened. It's going to be interesting to see what they do as far as the rating.
Yeah, because they've said that they want to, like, essentially it's going to be the end of everything with the next one. I'm sure they're going to keep making movies, but they said they want to not be so close to the comics and stuff like that now.
And with the licensing of Fantastic Four and X-Men coming in, then that could be their phase 4. Avengers could just slowly phase out, and we could see them in cameos.
I was gonna say, and make room for a new set of heroes to come up to fight. That could always be. It could just be the end, like you said, the end of Avengers, where who knows? Maybe Thanos wins. And Cap's gone, Iron Man's gone, Thor. I don't think Thor would be gone though. Because they made a big deal about moving Asgard to like him being the steward of Asgard, or the ruler over Asgard now, and it being on Earth and everything. I think too much was made out of that to just simply kill him off. But no,
God damn it! I want Beta Ray Bill. They've teased him like 3 times now, and I just want to see the horse Thor.
But no.
I was gonna say I did like about how they joked about turning him into a frog.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so many questions left unanswered or I shouldn't say left unanswered. So many just mind-blowing questions going into the next Avengers
like I said,
movie.
they just did a good job of leaving us wanting more.
Yeah.
It's not even, it doesn't feel cliffhangery 100%, but it leaves you hungry for more.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't feel like this isn't a Prometheus situation where it's like, well, none of that got answered, and then we got new questions and shit. They answered everything. They brought us up to this point. They fucking dusted off half the MCU.
No pun intended.
Yeah, and we have to wait another year after, and we'll see what happens with Ant-Man and Wasp and then Captain Marvel movies. But we're gonna have to wait a whole other year for this to be resolved, quote unquote. Even if it does get resolved, because like Vern, you said, there could be lasting repercussions past this, just like there was lasting repercussions after the first Avengers movie, the Battle of New York with Tony, and Sokovia with the second one.
The Avengers got blamed for pretty much everything.
Yeah,
that's happened, and it's just I can see repercussions happening with who's the guy who's playing the guy who made him sign the Avengers Initiative.
Ross.
Is it Ross?
Thunderbolt Ross.
Okay. He's played by John Hurt.
Yes. Yeah, because William Hurt's dead.
All right. So, yeah, and so they've already won their heads pretty much. So we'll see what happens.
If he's not dusted off.
Oh, that's
they could be gone. But that's a situation where even if they came back, I think it would be like a "told you so" kind of situation.
Bring Peggy Carter back from the dead and bring her into the future.
Oh, she's already dust.
Yeah, I know she's dust.
Oh, she's mummy dust.
Oh man, she's maggot food.
Ghost reference. But that'll wrap up this lengthy edition of Real Rants. Not even fucking lengthy. It's almost like the norm for us. An hour and 20 minutes. But no, it's so much to just go over with Avengers and everything like that with this movie. So much to talk about.
Yeah, there was a lot to go on.
I just don't like that.
And thank God you're not here to see a grown man cry.
Can I do a shameless plug?
Oh, I was going to hold up a plug. That said shameless on it. But what's your shameless plug?
My shameless plug, human resources.
Oh, yes.
So,
the floor is yours. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You start over again.
So I made a film. And it's called Human Resources, and it'll be out on YouTube sometime, I believe, next week. We're still in the editing process. So, hey, if you hate your boss or if you hate your job, you will love this film. That's all I gotta say.
All right, and yeah, so be on the lookout for that. I'm not sure, probably won't be on our channel, but if you're a subscriber to this channel, we'll probably post a link to it so that way you can all see it eventually. Once
our friends over at Tuck and Cling and Friends did it, which is a good handful of the Octopus crew is over there too.
Yeah,
so. And
if you haven't checked out their web series Rivals yet, be sure to go over there, give them a like and a subscribe, and check it out. They do some really funny work, and probably don't get a lot of the kudos that they should get, or a lot of the not kudos, the views that they should get, because they make some funny stuff. So go over there and check them out, and drop a like and a subscribe, and help them out over there.
Maybe I'll start popping a few on the Real Rants page.
Like killing people? Oh. You just said popping off.
Too soon.
But anyway, it's been fun. It's been real. Hopefully, you all survived the wrath of Thanos and the wrath of this show. I'm DJ.
I'm Todd.
I'm Vern.
And that is this edition of Real Rants. We will catch you around. Peace, everybody.